The Knight is Dead by Daylight's newest killer, and for all intents and purposes, he's pretty awesome. His sound design is epic, hearing the clanking of his armor, bashing survivors with the hilt of his claymore.
It hilted.
It's all really exceptionally done, and his Mori is probably the best Mori in the entire game.
Burn is so savage.
For his actual power, he controls 3 guards, the Carnifex, the Assassin, and the Jailer, who all have special strengths and weaknesses. By commanding these guards, the Knight becomes the ultimate tactician, or at least that's what you would hope, but that's not at all what actually happens. This is the Knight's biggest flaw, and it's an enormous one. See, when you start using the Knight's power, you basically create a path, which starts where you are currently standing. Once you are finished, the guard is summoned and follows the path backwards, ending at the point where you originally started creating the path. Again, you would think that with this power, you could create awesome battle plans to flank survivors and push them into you at complex loops and structures. However, that does not happen, at least not the way it should. The problem is when you start to create this path, the survivors see a giant green orb creating the path, so they know exactly how to avoid it. To make things even worse, while the Knight is sitting there thinking he's creating an epic battle plan to down a survivor, the survivor can literally look over and see the Knight crouched over on his Etch-a-Sketch in the bushes, so they just shift W. The guards have such slow reaction time that by default they aren't able to be used in a tactical way, which is massively unfortunate because, as we figured out in the PTB, the guards can be incredibly effective and even oppressive by using his brown add-on Map of the Realm with his yellow add-on Dried Horse Meat. So what exactly do these add-ons do? Well, they make the AI have a much bigger detection radius and chase the survivor for an additional 4 seconds. And to be clear, this does nothing to help with the tactical side of the killer. These add-ons are only effective because you can spam them quick enough to counter Shift W. That's it, and that's lame. Basically behavior in an attempt to not make the killer overly oppressive, playing it way too safe, created what I like to call the hag effect, where by severely limiting the way in which a killer can be played, they unintentionally emphasize a more potato way of playing the killer. Why would any player go through all of the trouble of setting up a well thought out and rewarding battle plan when they can just fart their guard out instantly at a loop, forcing the survivor into the open for a free hit? It's another artist dredge anti-loop mechanic, when the AI actually works anyway.
He got stuck. I got it. You literally went through him, Assassin. Like, you're definitely gonna get a pay cut for that one, buddy. Oh my god, the AI is like trolling me. Oh, that's so bad. It's actually really bad.
And don't get me wrong, it can feel like you are being really tactical when a survivor is getting chased by your guard and you cut the survivor off and pinch them, but it's really all just a facade. You're just brute forcing your power to give the survivor no options without actually putting in the effort that earns you that situation. Alright, so how do you fix this major flaw? Well, for one, the growing green orb showing the survivors your exact Etch-a-Sketch plan needs to be gone entirely. It does nothing but severely punish the player for playing the killer in a more tactical and interesting way. Get rid of it. That said, the Knight crouching while he's setting up this battle plan is actually okay because it's a fair telltale of what the killer is doing if you can actually see the killer. So that incentivizes the Knight player to not use their ability out in the open or in an obvious place. Again, reward tactical gameplay. Another issue with the Knight is his guards have a detection radius that, from what I can tell, does not account for line of sight or noise at all. If a survivor is in the radius, they immediately get detected. Now, ideally, the killer would be more interesting if the survivors could hide and remain completely still to avoid detection, but I understand this would be very difficult to implement, so there's a valid criticism there, but I do understand why behavior went this route from a programming point of view. Now let's talk about guard cycling. You have 3 different guards that you can summon in a linear cycle: the Carnifex, Assassin, and Jailer. You could keep track of what guard is next in line with the little spirit icon on the knight's wrist. Now again, out of fear of imbalance, behavior forces you to go through this cycle, so you can't just spam one guard over and over again. But I would literally rather have every guard be on a separate cooldown rather than limit the skill ceiling of this killer in such a stupid way. So much strategy and utility is being wasted here. For comparison, it feels a lot like Trickster's main event ability that just rarely does anything because the player has such little control over when to use it. Keep in mind, the Knight is a niche killer. A lot of players will not enjoy playing him, especially players who prefer technical abilities like Huntress, Blight, and Wesker. The Knight appeals to players who like to outthink survivors rather than just outperform them, which makes this brute force playstyle even more annoying. Now let's address camping, because this killer is actually low-key another S tier killer when it comes to camping. You just plop your guard down on a hook and now you have 2 killers defending that hook. It's hard to even trade. You need 2 survivors just to trade hooks, one to get the guard's attention and the other to actually make the trade. Of all the killers that can't use their power near hooks, this one seemed like a no-brainer. I tested it out in the PTB and the survivors were pretty salty about it, so sadly I couldn't really get any good feedback from them, and bots put in no effort to hook trade in custom matches, so that didn't work either. All that said, I hope I made my point clearly. The Knight needs buffed and nerfed at the same time. Parts of his kit that are tactical and skillful should be embraced, and the cheesy, spamming, lame parts of his kits should be reined in so that they aren't more rewarding than the Knight playing skillfully. But let me know what you all think about the Knight. Is he fun to play? Is he fun to play against? Is the Moria alone worth maining this killer? Let me know, and as always, thanks for watching and have a good one.